Hey,
Hello?
hey, it's Kenny. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. I apologize for the delay. Um, the other interview I just had went a little bit over your time slot, so I try to.
Oh, that.
Yeah, so my apologies. But thank
Hey,
you.
that's okay.
But I appreciate you being on, and I want to tell a story. I like telling stories on this show, especially those who I met in person. Um,
Oh, well, good, because I love telling stories, so
okay.
that's good.
Yeah. The first time I met you was at the Lexi Fest this past September, and
Yes, sir.
I seen you perform with David McLean, who is such a musical extraordinaire, and he's got this thing called Lexington Music Awards that's coming up in January, and he does shows like this to get the word out on local artists like yourself, and I enjoy the collaboration between you and and Dave. It was incredible. It was a fun show, a festival overall. Proud Mary's nice sunny weather and all that. So it was great to meet you and to see you perform. I know you got a lot of stuff going on the last 2 months of the year. So let's just get right into it. What made you decide to be a singer, a songwriter, and an artist? How did it start off for you?
Oh my God, that goes way, way back. That actually goes to me being 5 years old, and God, that seems so long ago now. But when I was five, um, believe it or not, I saw Elvis on the TV. It was Jailhouse Rock. I'll never forget it. It was it was the video, and I had no idea at that time in my 5-year-old brain that this was back in the '60s. But I didn't know anything about the guy. But I just remember seeing him just performing and his guitar and just his energy and how fun it looked. And I just remember thinking, wow, that is definitely something I want to do. At some point in my life, that is something I want to do. So it kind of it stemmed from there. At 5 to 7, I just wrote these little stories or these little poems and different things like that. And I started picking up these sticks, and I would just bang on everything that I could bang on. And then by the time I was 9, 10, 11, 12, I made my drum sets out of buckets. And my uncle at the time, he was in a band. And finally, when I was maybe 13, I got my first drum set. And he comes over to watch me play. And I was really nervous at the time because he got really quiet. And after that, he comes back to the house 2 days later. He's like, "Hey, you want to play a show?" And I was like, what? So kind of at that time, I just showed up having no idea what I was playing, what we were going to do, but my heart was throbbing, like I was super excited and nervous at the same time, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty much what I want to do. So from 13 to, I don't know, 17, 18, we played in a band together, but eventually we disbanded because obviously I was a child and we couldn't, get into bars or anything like that. So we disbanded, but I went to college, and throughout college, 18 to, I don't know, 22, 23-ish, I continued to write music as far as lyrics. I picked up a guitar with a few chords that I knew. I produced hip-hop for, I don't know, going on a period of like 8 or 10 years there for a while. So I kind of had a deep background. So finally, when I was about 25, 26, I seriously started thinking about, the songwriting aspect. And so I just picked up a guitar and started writing music. And long and behold, I met Miss Angela Feltner soon after that. And we started writing songs together. I wrote songs, and she went to college. And, now she's my manager. She has a Feltner Artist Development. She's awesome. So now with playing with David this year, I actually met him as a drummer last year. So it just kind of spun into this whole web of me meeting all of these awesome musicians throughout Lexington, through David and through her. And then we cut an album and released it in August, and it's just been awesome from there.
And the name of this album is entitled Guitars and Leaving. I played a song project earlier called None. I love the
Mhm.
I definitely like the record, and it's definitely a remarkable album that people need to check out. You can listen to it on Spotify, and what are some other digital platforms people can listen to?
Oh, it's kind of everywhere. It's Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, CD Baby. Basically anywhere music is available online. And just recently, we dropped some physical copies of the album off at CD Central. So we were really excited about that. I've always wanted to sell my album there, especially where it's local. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, hashtag support the locals, especially the stores.
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
I like the album, and I like CD Central. You know, I think
Yes, sir.
I've only been to City Central probably once, and the one time I went, I didn't buy a mainstream album. I bought a local album. So you know, that's just I've made a lot of good friends. That includes David,
Mhm.
and your lovely manager. Shout out to her. She's so lovely.
Absolutely.
She's so lovely, and you got an incredible project. What was it like working on this project, Guitars and Leaving? And what made you decide to name that record that?
Man, I can tell you one thing. Throughout making this album, we actually started the project back in October. I'd had and the most recent one I'd put on that was actually Numb. And throughout that whole process, I can't tell you how much I learned just as an artist, a songwriter, and just composer and producer. David, he really gave me that freedom to really take the project where I wanted it to go. Because I'd done demos and previous things before, and I didn't really trust what sound or where I wanted that to go. And then, working through this project really gave me the insight of what I wanted Marsha Lee music to sound like. And the project really, this album really depicts everything that it's about. And I think Guitars and Leaving was, I don't know, Angela and I actually were in my music room. I was practicing one day, and she was sitting in as she normally does. And she's like, I think you should just say Guitars and Leaving, because we were actually thinking about it. And I was like, yeah, because it kind of gives an indication of leaving the past behind and just sort of going without, you have no certainty of where you're going. You're just leaving behind everything else and just starting this new journey. And that's kind of what that album name depicts, for sure.
I like that. Guitars and Leaving. It seems like the past is always trying to hunt us all, but we can't let it define who we are. We got to look forward. And
Oh, yeah.
so it's definitely an incredible project, definitely worth listening to. You got a show coming up at, I think this may be considered one of my favorite venue names in all of Kentucky, period. Chocolate Holler.
Yes, sir.
I need to know the individual who came up with that name, because that sounds pretty cool. Chocolate Holler. Yes, people, that is the name of the actual venue. It's coming up on November 13th, 7 to 8:30 p.m. For those who have not seen you perform before, what can people expect when they see Marsha Lee perform?
I had thought about that question early on in the making of this album, because I think that's really, really important to think about when you're performing. And that's something I hadn't gathered before. And I think really, to be honest, what you can expect is songwriting and storytelling, because I'm a talker when I'm in my sets, and I get really into the stories and everything behind my songs. So I think it's the honesty and the purity of each song. It's about not overthinking each story and just kind of staying true to what the song is saying and staying true to that feeling. I mean, obviously through the years, we grow as people. Our stories change, and we grow from those stories, but initially the feeling is still the same. And I think honesty and the purity of the music is something that I can look forward to.
Again, the name of the place is called Chocolate Holler. That's coming up on the 13th. And I think that's your last show of the year, I believe. And you'll be at Louisville in January. On January 25th at O'Shea's.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So, and for more info on Marsha, you can check her out, marshalee.hearnow.com. Reverb Nation, also look for Marsha Lee. And go nominate this woman in some categories.
Oh.
And the Lexington
Thank you.
in the Lexington Music Awards ballot that is ongoing for the next couple of weeks or so. And you can go to lexingtonmusicawards.org, lexingtonmusicawards.org, and they got a link that's going to lead you towards the ballot. And what other categories do you want people to nominate you for?
Well, definitely album of the year, singer, songwriter, and vocalist for sure, and also a single. Yeah.
She might be in for a lot of awards. For all I know. So.
Well, hey, those are the categories. I'm hoping to. I mean, I feel blessed to even be up for the ballot and being nominated. But yeah, for sure, one of those would be awesome.
And I'm just gonna put my name out there. People can nominate me for best radio DJ. I've been nominated in that category 2 years in a row. I won it this past January, and I really appreciate people who get their votes in for me as well.
Well, that's really, really amazing because, sir, I can tell you for the past 2 years I was sitting in those chairs, and I saw you win. So I mean, it's pretty awesome to be on your show and to see that for 2 years in a row, and sitting here talking to you this way is sort of, it's surreal. It's definitely a blessing. So I'm definitely thankful.
I'm thankful to be embraced by a local music community that's been so supportive ever since I've been going to local music show, and I've witnessed a lot of amazing talent and a lot of good people like yourself and Dave and everyone that I've went into, and I'm just honored just to say that I am a part of this scene. And
for sure.
And I appreciate all of you musicians for what y'all do. You all are a great representation, not just in Central Kentucky, but all of Kentucky as well. And people really need to take notes of what was going on. There's a lot of good people out there. So
yes, there are, for sure. Yes, there are.
Guitars and Leaving is the name of the project. Go check it out. And go check it out at Chocolate Holler on November 13th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. It was great chatting with you, Marsha, and you have a good night. Have a great weekend.